Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai. In our last discourse, we heard about the queen getting dragged to the Chandalas to be killed because they thought she was a witch who ate children. And the Chandala gave this job to cut off her head to the king Harischandra. We'll go on to chapter 26. The king Harischandra, with his face bent low, thus said to the queen, O young one, I am a great sinner, otherwise why shall I be really ready to do this heinous act? However, now sit before me. If my hand be capable to kill you, then it will cut off your head. Thus saying, the king took the axe and moved forward to cut her. As the king did not recognize her as his queen, so the queen did not recognize him as her husband, the king. So the queen, being very much strained with sorrow, began to utter with a view to court her death, O Chandala, if you like, I say something. Here, my son is dead and is lying close to the outer skirts of the city. Wait till I bring my child before you and do his burning ceremonies. Next, you can cut me off by your axe. The king said, very well, let that be, and gave her permission to go to her dead son. Then the queen, emaciated and pale, her body being covered all over with the dust, arrived at the burning ground, and taking her dead son, bitten by a serpent, on her lap, cried out loudly, O son, O my child, O my young son, and referring to her husband said, O king, see today the sad condition of your son lying on the ground as his bed. My son went to play with other boys and bitten by a cruel poisonous serpent left his life. Hearing the pitiful cry of that helpless woman, the king Harischandra went to the dead boy and took off the cover from his face. Due to the long exile and the difficulties thereof, the queen was changed altogether in her outer form, so the king could not recognize her weeping as his wife. On the other hand, the king, too, had not the curled hair on his head as before. It had turned into matted hair, and his skin especially had become like the bark of a dried tree. So the queen could not make out the king also. The king then noticed all the king markings, auspicious signs on the several limbs of that dead boy, poisoned all over and lying on the ground, and began to think thus. The face of this child is very beautiful, like the full moon. Nowhere there is anyone like this. The nose is high, the two cheeks are clean like a mirror and spacious. The hair are blue and curling, similar, long and waving. The two eyes are widely expanded like the full-blown lotus. The two lips are red like the bimba fruits. The chest is wide and spacious. The eyes are stretched up to the ears. The arms are extending up to the knees. The shoulders are elevated. The legs are elongated, yet godlike like a lotus stem. The appearance is grave. The fingers are fine, yet strong enough to hold the world. The navel is deep and the region of the shoulders elevated. Certainly this boy was born in a royal family. Alas, what a pain is this! The cruel death has reduced him to this state. Thus, looking carefully at that boy in the lap of his mother from his head to foot, the king Harischandra got back to his ancient recollections. He recognized the boy to be his and wept out loud, repeating the word, Oh, oh, the tears flowed down from his eyes, and he said, This is my boy that has been reduced to this state. Oh, the cruel fate. Though the boy is dead, yet the king remained bewildered for a moment. The queen then spoke of a terrible pain. O child, what sin is that which has caused this dire calamity? I cannot imagine. O my husband, O king, I am extremely worried of pains and troubles, leaving me thus. How is it that where are you passing away your time in a calm, quiet state, O fortune? It is you that has brought upon the loss of the Rajasari, Harishchandra's dominion. the separation from his friends, and what more, you have caused his wife and son to be sold. Has he done so much mischief to you?" Hearing her cries, the king's patience gave way, and he came to recognize the Devi and the son and exclaimed, "She is my wife, and the dead boy is my son. Oh, what a series of troubles, one coming after another." Being overpowered with extreme trouble and pain, the king fell unconscious on the ground. The queen, too, looking at the king's state, fell motionless and void of senses. No sooner she recognized him as the king Harischandra. Some time after, the king and queen both got back at the same time their consciousness, and with great sorrow and agony began to lament. The king said, "O child, why my heart does not read to thou, seeing today your gentle face, pale and lifeless, that was once beautiful with curls of hairs. O Rohita, when will you come to me, saying in a sweet voice, 'Father, Father,' when shall I address you affectionately, 'O my child, embracing you within my breast'? Whose tawny-colored dust on his knees will spoil my clothes, lap, and my body? O delightful son, I have sold you as if an ordinary thing. Though I am your father, as yet my pleasure of having a son is not satisfied. Owing to the mockery of the mean fate, my unbounded kingdom, friends, and abundance of riches all have vanished away. Finally, I had one son. That too is now in the jaws of death. Oh, with what an amount of terrible pain I am being burnt up today when I am seeing the lotus face of my son smitten by a serpent and lying dead on the ground." Thus speaking, in a voice choked with feelings and with tears in his eyes, as soon as he was going to take his boy in his lap, he fell senseless on the ground. Seeing the king lying on the ground, the queen thus thought, "Such is his voice as it makes me certain that he is King Harischandra, the best of men, and the delighter of the learned men's hearts. His teeth are like those of the famous Harischandra, and his nose is elevated and soft like the tila flower. But if he be Harischandra, how is it that he has come to this burning ground?" Thus thinking, while she looked at the king, leaving for the moment the sorrow of her son, joy, pain, and surprise attacked her heart simultaneously, and she, in that state, fell down unconscious on the ground. Then, gradually regaining consciousness, she spoke in a pitiful voice, "O fortune, you have caused the king, who was once like an immortal, the loss of his kingdom, friends, and even the sale of his wife and his son. And now you have transformed him into a Chandala. You are merciless, religiousless, void of any justice as to what is just and what is unjust. You are shameless. So fie on you. O king, where are gone today that royal umbrella, that throne, and that pair of fans on both sides? Oh, what is this transformation caused by the ordination of fate? When the high-souled king used to travel, all the king used to remove at his servants the dust of the roads by their clothing. Oh, is he the same king of kings, Harischandra, who is roaming in this unholy burning ground, burdened too much by the load of sufferings? Oh, innumerable human skulls are lying here. The small earthen pots are all over and are lying scattered close to each. The garlands of flowers for the dead, being intertwined with the hair of the dead, are presenting a grim spectacle. The ashes, skulls, half-burnt dead bodies, bones, and marrows, all arranged one over another, make the place even more hideous. The marrows of the dead bodies have come out and are dried up in the sun. At places, vultures crying hideously, and the crows and the other birds, eager to eat the flesh, are roaming to and from all the quarters of the sky and are looking blue with the smoke arising out of the burning of the dead. The Rakshasa are constantly rolling hither and thither, gladly feasting on human flesh. Is the king passing his days thus in this place? Alas, oh, what a painful thing this is. The daughter of the king, Saivya, was overpowered with an awful sorrow, and clasping the neck of the king, began to lament again in a pitiful voice, O king, you have spoken that you are a Chandala. Is this a dream or a reality? O king, if it be true that you are a slave of the Chandala, then say to me, my mind is being deluded very much. I cannot even grasp this idea, O knower of Dharma. You have shown your great zeal towards Dharma, and for that reason you are displaced from your royal throne. Now, if such help comes out of worshipping the Brahmins and the Devas, then Dharma cannot stand, and along with it, the truth, simplicity, and harmlessness cannot exist. Hearing these words from the thin queen, the king took a heavy sigh and then described to her in detail with tears flowing on his neck how he got the Chandala state. The fearful queen became very much pained to hear all this, and heaving a deep sigh, described, as it were, how her son died. On hearing this, the king fainted and fell unconscious on the ground. Then, regaining gradually his consciousness, he began to kiss the face of his dead son. The queen then said in a quick, choked voice, now sever my head and obey your master's words, O king. You will be saved then as having kept your truth, and your master's order will be carried out. Hearing this, the king fainted and fell down senseless. Getting up, conscious in a moment, he began to weep bitterly. The king said, O beloved, how have you uttered such cruel words? How can I execute that which is hard even to utter? The queen said, O Lord, I have worshipped the Devi Gauri and other devas and the Brahmins, so with their mercy I will get you as my husband in my future birth. Hearing this, the king fell again down instantly on the ground. Getting up immediately, he was overpowered with sorrow and began to kiss the face of his dead son. The king said, Oh dear, I won't be able to suffer any longer for a long time. But, O thin-bodied one, see, I am so unfortunate that I have no command even over my heart. If I enter into fire without the permission of the Chandala, then I will have to become again the slave of a Chandala in my future birth. Think it over. After that, I will have to go to the hell and be tormented there. But this too I find beneficial to me. Rather, I will go to the hell Mahararava and there suffer for a long time the torments of hell. Yet I do not like to live any longer when my boy, the continuer of my family, has left his life out of the queer fancies of this great time and fate, and I be merged in the sorrows for my son. My body is now at the command of the Chandala. How can I, in this state, quit my life without his permission? If I leave my body, I will be indebted to him, and I will have to suffer in hell. Let this be so. Still, I will leave off my body, the receptacle of all these pains and troubles. Nowhere in the Triloki is any pain like the felt in the demise of a son. So I will now throw myself on the burning fire along with the dead body of my son. So, thin-bodied one, you should now excuse me, O sweet smiling one, and do not prevent me. I now permit you to go back to the house of your Brahmin. If ever I have given any charity, riches, offered oblations to the fire, and given satisfaction to my superiors, then in the other world I will get you and my son. But there is no such chance now in this world. O sweet smiling one, if ever I have given you offense while conversing or making jokes with you, now at the time of my parting, please excuse them all. O auspicious one, never despise the Brahmin out of your pride as a queen. Look on your master as a deva and try all your best to satisfy him. The queen said, O Rajarshi, I will also throw myself on the burning fire. O deva, I will not be able to carry on this burden, so I will accompany you. It is better for me to accompany you, so there will not be otherwise. O giver of honor, I will enjoy with you heaven or suffer with you in hell. Hearing this, the king said, O chaste one, do as you please. Here ends the 26th chapter of the 7th book on the narration of the sorrows of Harischandra in the Mahapuranam, Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses, by by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.